Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for the fourth year, November 8th through 10th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There is nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than ever before. Come see from Star Wars the Emperor himself, Ian McDiarmid, along with Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, John DiMaggio, who is Bender from Futurama, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Sting, and Sunday only Grant Gustin from The Flash and Glee, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun is in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $40. Kids tickets are just $8 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining me on this Monday before the presidential election. So hopefully everyone has plans to go and do your voting and all that good stuff. But first, before we get started, I do want to thank everybody for coming out to the 300 Clifton, who watched our not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4-hour live from there on Halloween. So, I didn't get my candy, but that's okay. It was a lot of fun, great investigation, also beautiful location. So thank you all very much. I think Friday we'll be talking a little bit more about that broadcast, but no rest for the wicked, because we got another big event coming up this weekend, and I am so excited for this. This is really going back to my roots, so to speak. And that is basically that we are going to be over at Twin Cities Con this weekend. And I want to talk about Twin Cities Con because there's a lot going on, and I love conventions. I've been going to them since, probably 1987 or so, different types of conventions. And they've changed maybe a little bit over the past we don't want to say the word 40 years or anything like that, but they've been changing a while. And with me tonight, I have the founder of Twin Cities Con. I have Ben Penrod, and along with Ben, I have the author of Effin' Birds, Aaron Reynolds. Gentlemen, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Now I have to ask Aaron, because I saw you put your fingers in your ears. Is my levels too loud for you? And I actually
no. I was making sure that my headphones were going to fall out.
Because I was also, or were you just like, please stop talking? Because I've seen that quite a bit too, actually, from my guests. So that's just fine. So, gentlemen, first of all, if you don't know what Twin Cities Con is, I don't mean this to the gentlemen because they know very well what Twin Cities Con is. But to all of you listening out there, we've been running a lot of ads for it over the past, few months, and we've been getting a lot of people really excited about it. But for those of you who don't know, Ben, what is Twin Cities Con?
So Twin Cities Con is the biggest Comic-Con in Minnesota. I like to say that if you're not really familiar with what a Comic-Con is, it's sort of a nerdy flea market. And we've got dozens of celebrities. We've got hundreds of hours of programming, panels, Q&As, workshops, things like that. And, it's I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it more than that. It's just a really fun community atmosphere for people who are into nerdy things. And ours is kind of the biggest and biggest tent where everything comes together, whether you're a fan of Star Wars, or a fan of Has-Been Hotel, anime, comic books, literature, romance. I know, we have a lot of like paranormal romance authors at the show.
Yeah.
We've got,
Wrestling.
Yeah, I've
pro
got
wrestling.
wrestling.
Well, we've got a lot of wrestlers coming. We don't have any actual live wrestling this year. We're going to fix that for next year. But we've got, Sting is coming.
Yeah.
If you're a big fan of wrestling, Sting, Swerve, Deanna Purrazzo, Danhausen. Everybody loves Danhausen. So, we've got a little bit of everything. If you're a nerd, we're kind of like the place to go. And we got, Aaron will be there with Effin' Birds.
Yeah. Yeah, which honestly, Aaron, I'm going to be very honest. Until very recently, it was something I wasn't aware of. But what I love about it is for Effin' Birds, it's the identification. And I read somewhere about identification of rude birds. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, really, the gag with Effin' Birds is it's a daily comic strip where I'm partnering up all of my worst, most negative emotions with beautiful bird artwork. And I started it as a kind of a form of therapy, and in somehow a lot of people, it just resonated for them, and so it became a thing.
It's awesome, and I'm going to be honest. I am horrible at telling you what kind of birds are out there. I mean, I'm a monster. I don't know anything. There was one that I saw. I just noticed this. I was outside just the other day, and this beautiful blue bird with black markings and stuff. I mean, I guess maybe it's a blue jay or something, but boy, that thing was just beautiful, and it's just flying around. And I mean, I don't know. Are you local, Aaron?
I'm from Toronto.
So, Blue Jay. Oh my gosh, it's foretelling. This was foretold. This radio episode was foretold
by a bird.
By a bird of all things. Well, I mean, that makes it more apropos that you would be on, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. How long?
I was wondering what the hook was going to be for this supernatural radio program for me being on it. And it's like it was the bird. It was the yeah.
I think you can find. I can make the hook whatever I want. So, how long have you been doing conventions as a guest? How about that as a guest?
I would say about 5 years now, because I started doing them as promo for when my first book came out, and so that was 5 years ago this fall. So
wow,
yeah, and it was. At the time, it was a modest release in North America, and we were trying to figure out what was the most cost-effective way to get me out on a book tour. Because if I go to a bookstore and I sell like 200 copies of my book, which is a great bookstore signing, there's not enough money in the profit on 200 books to fly me out somewhere and put me up in a hotel.
No. So
right?
Comic-Cons were the answer.
Yeah, they were.
It makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting because I grew up doing the conventions. I was, still am, and Ben, I think we talked about this a long time ago. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and so there was a lot of Doctor Who conventions in not only Twin Cities but in the Midwest. Was very much a hotbed for it. But like I said, when I started going to the conventions, they were put on by, at the time, the Doctor Who Fan Club of America, which so that was about as close to as like a sanctioned BBC sort of thing, and the way that conventions were done, I would never guess going 40 years later that you could go and say that my favorite show is something like Boy Meets World, and that there would be guests from Boy Meets World. Because at the time it was only like conventions are only for like, very niche, very sci-fi.
Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever.
Totally. Babylon 5 was big at the time, all that stuff. And now, I mean, and this is what I love about it. And not Twin Cities Con per se, but one Comic-Con I remember, and I didn't even realize that I'm walking around looking for Peter Capaldi because he from Doctor Who, he was going to be there. And I look over to my left and there's Mickey Dolenz and Peter Tork.
Oh, amazing.
And it's just like, this is what these conventions are. And as Ben, you were even kind of struggling, like, well, this is what we have, this is because there's so much. You got to go to twincitiescon.com to see who's all there, because there is so much. And it's, I'm trying to think of the better word, because overload isn't right, because overload it sounds negative to me. It's just a really a pleasant
smorgasbord,
a smorgasbord. Yeah, totally, that's what it is. And
there's something there for everybody. That's kind of what I like to think. And I also, it's important to me that, every fan who attends the show has like a different experience.
Right.
In the kind of event space, whether it's a show like Star Wars Celebration, or if it's just even a meeting conference or something, a business conference, basically everybody goes and does the same thing. And they're even if you're at Star Wars Celebration, everybody wants to see that big panel. Everybody's going to spend a little bit of time in the exhibit hall. Our show is very different. I don't want any two people to have the same experience. So, you might go to Aaron's panel.
I don't know
what time.
It's a good time.
I don't want to tell. I don't.
After lunch on Saturday.
So Saturday afternoon, you go to Aaron's panel. Then you go get an autograph from, Hayden Christensen, and then you walk around the exhibit hall a little bit, do some shopping. Maybe you find a cool T-shirt or some comic books. Then maybe you go home. Then you come back and do our late night programming. That goes until like midnight. There's. Or somebody might come and they don't do any of that stuff. Maybe they're just there to meet the Boy Meets World people, and they just come in, get their photo with the Boy Meets World folks, and then they go home. I sure hope they would stay a little bit longer than that. But I know some people, they're on a mission.
They are on a mission. Absolutely. Now, Ben, I don't know if you can answer this, but I'm just curious if you have any thoughts. When do you think the bubble burst? And what I mean by that is, back in the early 90s, we're trying to do some our own conventions. It was easy enough to get folks like from Doctor Who and stuff, but we thought we'd try something different. So we'd reach out to the likes of like John Cleese, who, you get something back where it's like, a polite laughing in your face sort of letter.
Yeah.
We jump forward a number of years, and you get people like John Cleese who do show up to these sort of things now. And you also it's more of like, too, it's like, these casts of these favorite shows, they know that this is a big part of what they do now. I mean, I'm sure that the answer might be money, but I'm hoping that there's a little bit more, that like they realize that they enjoy it themselves as well.
I mean, the easy, first it is just money, but like that's.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, of course.
But it's. I think the culture around the cons has changed a little bit from the actors' side of things, where there are still people in Hollywood who kind of have this opinion of it, but going back into like the 90s, it was really thought of as something you did when you weren't a working actor anymore, when you were kind of past your prime, when you were a nostalgia act, right? Yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I think the people who were meeting, the Star Trek original series folks in the 90s were super happy to meet them. And I think those were probably really, really good experiences for everybody. But, those people were not necessarily getting a ton of work in the 90s. And so you kind of had that sort of thing like, oh, if you're worried about being taken seriously by people who you might want to cast you in something later if you show up at cons.
Yeah, right.
And there's still a little bit of that. You don't see it quite so much as the money has gotten a lot better.
But now it's also part of everybody's marketing machine, particularly the large cons. Because I mean, at San Diego and New York, they're going to announce all the things and have all those, all those A-listers there. And that sort of, I think, opened the door a lot more for A-listers to show up at all the shows.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point, because the San Diego, if you could say it even, Comic-Con is one of those, it truly was. Everyone would wait every year to hear what the big stars are doing and to see them. Now, Ben, folks like you are bringing them to us so that they're close by. Now, Aaron, there has to also obviously be something that, and I think that I do know, like the stars from the show, I think there's some that feel this way as well. You're sitting at a table and people are meeting you. They're talking about how much they enjoy your work. That alone, just a little bit of fuss thrown your way, has to be kind of nice too.
Oh, it's great. I thrive on validation. So I am happy to have people come all day long and tell me that they like me. It can get overwhelming. And there's sort of there's this line between this is great and then suddenly too much of it. It's like when you eat too much candy and you feel all sick all the time. And that happens at it happens at San Diego. Ben's seen it firsthand because Ben owns the table that I do at San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay.
And this year he watched me. We did the math on the pace of it, and I signed something every 70 seconds for 41 hours of show.
Wow.
And that's like a lot. And that's also, it's hard to say hi to a new person every 70 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's your brain gets real tired of meeting new people. Like it's exhausting. All these, did I meet this person already? Do I know this person? Did I meet them last year? Like, we're 1,000 people in and we're only halfway done.
How do you, we do have an echo now.
All right, let me try and grab my headphones real quick.
I think it's Ben. Let's get rid of Ben here real fast. At least mute him and see if that makes a difference. Yep. No, he's Ben. And it's only when you're talking, by the way, he's trying to sabotage you. I think that's really what it comes down to.
It's my deep resonant voice and his subwoofer.
And I'm nervous that you're going to take my show over because you have a better voice. So there is that as well. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to see if we still echo. And if not, we're going to carry on with the conversation. That's how we roll around here. We're talking about Twin Cities Con. We have Aaron Reynolds, author of Effin' Birds, and we have the founder of Twin Cities Con, Ben Penrod. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. There we go. I think we got it figured out. I think what happened is when you get the people who don't know really what they're doing running a radio show, I think that's kind of what happens there. So there's something I didn't do that I normally would do prior to the show, and that's what happened. So there we go. Now we got that.
We blamed Ben though. I like blaming Ben for it because it
seemed to make a lot of sense. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. That seemed to that checked out for me.
Yeah.
Plus, Ben's going to be responsible for everything for the next all weekend long. If anything happens, we're going to say, "Oh, it's Ben's fault." So
that was kind of
it will be.
That was kind of where I was at. I just don't know why it took so long for it to fail on a fantastic level like it did. But that's
it was
that's
really
fine.
good. I like that a lot.
Right.
I was going to say before you were talking about. When there are really great guests that are kind of like out of nowhere at a show, I said yes to doing a show in Niagara Falls specifically because Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada were there with one of the bikes from Chips. And I was like, I am going to go do this show specifically to get my picture taken with my favorite childhood TV lawmen and their motorcycle.
That's incredible. And that's just it. I suppose kind of back in the day, maybe the closest to all that might have been like when Adam West would come around and do the show and do him and Burt Ward would go and do it. And to me, that seemed like that was outside the realm of my little sci-fi shows that I watched. But yeah, it's pretty incredible where we're at now. And once again, before the echo chamber began, Ian McDermott, that's really where it's at. It was, I'm excited. I'm really excited because first of all, when I saw Return of the Jedi in 83, I thought he was 80 So I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that he was really only 40 or 30 something, it's pretty incredible. So this weekend, you mentioned, Ben, that you have some late night programming.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's important to talk about because, I think of these sort of things incorrectly as, okay, well, I'm done around 5 and I'll go home. But you have stuff going well beyond that. Is that all at the convention center too?
So actually, no, we've got stuff happening at the convention center until about 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights, and then head over to the Hyatt Regency just across the Skywalk. And we've got 2 rooms of programming going until midnight, 12:30 or so. And we've got 5 or 6 party rooms on the 3rd floor that are just going to be like different groups putting on a little party in there and then a hotel suite. And you can kind of make a crawl out of it, I guess, sort of. There's different, they probably have different drinks and snacks, and it's going to be a really fun vibe. And I wish we had more than 5. It's going to be really busy up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that's, and so do people have badges so that they know, like the hotel?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I think I need to check it out.
Yeah. So, I want this show to feel like there's so much going on that you can't see it all. You can't do it all in one weekend, and give you a really good reason to come back next year.
Right.
But yeah.
I was just gonna say that Nancy asked the question, "Who's invited?" And the answer is everybody.
Everybody's invited.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I gotta say, I don't usually go to the party rooms because part of it is that I have to work. I'm working at the show, right? And I have to be bright and shiny first thing in the morning,
right,
the next day. But I did a bunch of them at Dragon Con this year, and it was the right decision in a lot of ways and the wrong decision for 10 a.m. Aaron the next day, where he's at his table feeling just agony. But, I made it. It was worth it.
It is hard though, isn't it? I'm a party person. I do like to party quite a bit. So when you know that it's there, and I don't know what it is about me, like I don't want to miss out or anything. I don't know on what. And it's like I have to go to bed. But I think what I'm hoping to do Saturday night at least is go out to the party area and maybe even get some audio to play later. If
nice.
Assuming that it's arable and all that good stuff. People are having fun at these things. And I was just at the Hyatt Regency for Convergence this year. So
yeah. Did you check the party rooms out at Convergence?
Yeah, a friend of mine actually ran a party room there this year, and it's fun. It gets packed. It gets very, very packed, but it's a lot of fun going out there and stuff. So it's really cool. I really appreciate the fact, Ben, that you are doing this, that you're all thinking about, first of all, it's kind of in a way, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, that you're all keeping people together. So you go have parties, there's a hotel, stay, you don't have to do anything like drive or anything if you don't want to, and it's very cool, and just the whole idea of being at the Minneapolis Convention Center, you don't get much bigger than that, quite frankly.
I like the idea of just kind of giving people I want it to feel like a vacation, kind of like what Aaron was saying with Dragon Con, where we Dragon Con's, if you're going to Dragon Con, you don't just drop in for the day. It really is like a vacation.
Yeah.
And so I
it's like
want
a lifestyle.
Yeah. I want that experience at Twin Cities Con. I want fans to have that experience. And I think we've got over half of the Hyatt Regency's rooms are just our group. And it's going to, I think I had to, we oversold. We sold too many rooms. I had to move my staff to another hotel. So they're like, they wanted to stay up and party in the party rooms. So maybe it's actually better that they're not over there all night. They have to get back to their hotel,
Yeah, I mean, as Aaron says, everyone needs to be nice and shiny. So Now, Aaron, apart from your work at the convention as being, a guest and being all shiny for people, what else are you looking forward to?
Oh, at this show? What I love about Ben's shows is that they are both so wide ranging and always something truly ridiculous happens at Ben's shows. And I don't think Ben, can I tell you a story that I haven't told you yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Please.
one of the guests at Madison, she had a dog named Ernest. Do you remember the dog named Ernest? Okay.
Yes, I do.
And so
yes, I do.
I'm in the green room having lunch, and it's just me and this celebrity and her dog. And she leaves for a moment because she's going to go do some photo ops. But she talks to Ernest and she says, "Ernest, I'm going to be right back. You just stay right here." And Ernest, like a brave little soldier, he just sits there quietly and he doesn't move. He's such an adorable little dog. And she leaves. And then a very famous wrestler comes into the room, does not see me at all, sees only Ernest. I'm like off to the side. Ernest is at the table in the middle. And he comes in and he's like, "Ernest, where's your mom?" And I said, "Oh, she went to do a photo op." And he doesn't look at me. He keeps looking at the dog. He says, "Thanks, Ernest." And he goes right out the door.
I'm sorry. Did he think Ernest actually spoke to him?
I hope so. But even if he didn't, it was a great bit. And I loved that it happened. So...
Well, and I mean, my time going to conventions, there are those moments, right? That, like you just said, like you probably maybe never see some of these guests again, or at least in a very casual situation like that. And you want to be able to have those moments. I remember back in 1991, there was a con called Polaris Con. It was Polaris Con 2. All right. Electric Boogaloo. No, it wasn't called that, but Peter Davison was there, the Fifth Doctor. And it just so happened in our staff room, like wherever, like the green room, if you will, the public television station was running a Doctor Who marathon that day, so we had it on. And he comes in the room and he immediately looks towards the TV. It's Doctor Who running, and he looks at the rest of us like, "Seriously, in here too? Like, is this all you people ever watch?" And I remember someone saying to him, "No, I mean, it actually is on the air right now." And he's just like, "Geez," it's just so funny. Those little human moments that isn't it interesting how those moments really make a big difference in your con experience too?
Absolutely. These are all human beings, right? These are all I know I'm a real person, but everybody else, we're all human beings. And sometimes you have to be reminded of that because I've had situations where I'm just in awe of a person and not able to speak to them. Right. And something will happen to break the ice, and then we can have a conversation like normal human beings. And sometimes it's actually just very refreshing to have conversations like normal human beings. I love that energy. That and the cosplay. There's always good cosplay.
Oh, yeah. There is.
It's
inventive, like weird cosplay. I'm there for that.
Ben, there has to be a ton of cosplay at this thing.
Yeah, we are becoming a pretty major cosplay con at this point. Mm-hmm. I think our costume contest, I think they had to close the submissions down a little bit early because because they had too many submissions, and they're like, "Oh, we're done. We're done."
Yep. can't judge this many.
I love it. And it's Aaron, you're absolutely right. I think that's the thing. And because I have absolutely no skill, I can't even get a radio show to go without echoing. But the idea of doing creating costumes where even if people are making a costume of something and you may not recognize it, they know they're in a safe place. They know that this is a place that you can be yourself. And if I just wear a Tom Baker scarf and a hoodie like this, people are going to know, and they're going to know I'm having a good time, and that's the sort of thing that I love about these conventions is that these are places that we can all have. We can be ourselves, and Ben, I'm assuming that's the point of these things as well. At the end of the day,
the point, it's all about being again, like you said, a safe space and a place for to kind of celebrate what you really like, be yourself. You don't have to worry about kind of being judged for being a nerd, although I think that's a little mainstream at this point. I think we're maybe
Right.
past that.
Right.
I think, you
But I
gotta,
mean, you could be like, your thing might be really weird, and you know what? You're going to find another person who's into that
that's
same
true.
weird thing,
Totally.
right? There's
I
going to be
think-
somebody else there.
I think, this year we've got a very big actor group of a cast reunion for Has Been Hotel, which, we might be, the three of us might be a little bit old for Has Been Hotel, but it's, if I was, 19 or 20 years old, I'd probably be obsessed with it. It's so good. But the fans of that show are, it's just like me when I was that age, just like the weird kids who were into watching way too much TV.
Yep.
And, I think them all having a chance to get together and see this huge group from the show, which is really, actually, I'm really proud of the group we put together. I think 12 different people from Has Been Hotel are going to be
Wow.
at Twin Cities Con.
That's great.
And most of them have like really cool credits outside of Has Been Hotel as well. And so I'm very excited to be able to do that. But it's, that group is very, they're very passionate, and I'm really excited to see, kind of what happens this weekend, as even at, I went to cons earlier this year where there were no Has Been Hotel cast members and half the cosplay was Has Been Hotel. So it's going to be really interesting.
And I think that's a great example too of something for everybody. I may not know what that is, and you're right. I mean, age or whatever, and I don't even think it's age, because I just think it's whatever we come across. But the idea for sure that just because I don't know about it, there's plenty I do know about. Ian McDermott or Star Wars, Sting, Boy Meets World, whatever it is. It's fantastic. Before we go to break, I wanted to make sure people heard before the echo, before the echo began. You can get tickets over at TwinCitiesCon.com. Also, there you can see all of the guests that are going to be there. Now, Ben, can you get tickets the day of at the convention center?
Yeah, you can buy tickets. Day of, minute of, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to stop selling them unless we get the fire marshal tells me to stop. we are maybe I'm looking at my numbers. We're getting a little bit close to selling out of the weekend tickets, but the single day tickets should be fine.
That's great.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of Mr. Krabs in Ben's voice there, a little bit.
Once again, TwinCitiesCon.com. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's take our next break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about the con. We're going to talk about some of the other guests that are going to be there. I can't wait, and I really think, folks, if you want to see some of these great stars, check it out at Twin Cities Con. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. And just to let everybody know, there will be no GhostBox Radio tomorrow. AM 950 will be doing a live coverage of the election night. Make sure you go out and vote, folks. We're going to be back on Wednesday. We're going to have Randy West with us. Randy used to be the announcer for The Price is Right, and he has also written a book about kind of the dirty secrets of Hollywood. So, of course, I'm interested in that. We're going to be talking to Randy on Wednesday. Right now, though, we're talking Twin Cities Con, which is happening this weekend, November 8th through 10th. It's going to be at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Go to TwinCitiesCon.com and GhostBox Radio. We're going to have a table there, and we're going to have some paranormal gear, and we're going to have a bunch of different things going on there, and we're going to have T-shirts that we're selling. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then there's plenty to do there. For example, you can go and meet Aaron Reynolds. He is the author of Effin' Birds, a field guide to identification, which I am going to have to get this. And so I'm going to enjoy that quite a bit. So we have Aaron with us, as well as the founder of Twin Cities Con, Ben Penrod. And, Ben, I really do appreciate you giving me some time this week, echoes or not, because you have to be out of your mind busy right now as we're just days away from this.
Yeah, I'm it's late at night, so it's kind of a little bit easier to sneak away, but no, it's been a very busy week. I have my schedule down to the minute for tomorrow, including I have I have to go pick up a truck, I have to pick up someone from the airport, I have to go vote. I have another radio interview tomorrow at some point, and then I have to program our computers for taking all the payments this weekend. I got everything on a list. I've got a lot of printing to do.
God, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I remember running conventions on a 300, 400 person scale. Not, I mean, are you able to kind of give a rough idea of how many people are going to be there, or you rather not do that?
So it's tough. We're last year I think we had about 25,000.
That all?
Yeah, and this year we were trending at about 185% of that.
Wow.
Up until so I don't know. It's the last week. We still have, we sell probably about half of our tickets in the last week anyway. So I don't know. It really, a lot of it depends on how many people show up. I think we're planning for like more than 40,000, and it does look like we're going to be in that ballpark.
What, Ben or Aaron, when you hear that, how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like I didn't order enough books.
Trust me, you ordered enough books.
No, I don't know that I did.
As the one who had to take them to my storage unit.
See, so here's the thing. I'm Canadian, and I can't bring books across the border because if I'm doing a show in the United States, I need to get American books from my American publisher, which are identical to the Canadian books from my Canadian publisher, but there's taxes and all these things.
Sure.
So I have to get them pre-delivered somewhere for me to get them for a show. And because Ben's home base is in Minnesota, I just sent all my stuff to Ben's place. And it's caused some stress in Ben's house when boxes keep arriving from effing birds.
Yes.
But it has to be, but that's that's pretty incredible, actually, considering all the stuff you have going on, Ben. And I doubt, maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt that Aaron is the only one that's you're helping like everyone in their own way to get themselves ready for the convention. And you're also trying to put on this, huge convention. That's incredible. I don't think people understand enough what that actually means and how difficult that can be.
Yeah, it's this is probably the most stressful job there is that doesn't actually involve life or death.
Right.
That isn't actually important to anything. I'm not curing cancer. I'm not in the emergency room saving people's lives, but you put that date on the calendar and it isn't moving no matter what. You don't get to push your deadlines back. The show's happening whether you're ready or not. And so your only choice is to be ready. And it's it doesn't, if I have luckily, I've been doing this for a long time and I have a great team. But, there's been times when I was running cons and, 4 days before the show, I'd be up until 3, 4, 5 a.m. working on spreadsheets and lists and things like that. And then I'd have to get up at 8 a.m. the next day and get right back to it. I've been doing this a long time, so I'm a lot more prepared than I used to be. But it's if things need to get done, they got to get done, and I'm the one who has to do it.
I just want to thank you for bringing John DiMaggio to Twin Cities Con. I'm a big Futurama fan, and I was hoping that there's so many people that are going to be at, and I mean by wonderful guests that are going to be at the convention. So I feel kind of guilty just by kind of handpicking a couple of them, because you really got to go to TwinCitiesCon.com. There's a tab for guests, and just take your time and go through and see what everybody who's going to be there. And, for example, of Grant Gustin, he's going to be there only on Sunday. So you want to make sure, that you take a look at this list so that you can plan and strategize how you're going to spend your weekend, because there's a lot of fantastic people are going to be there. My goodness. Man.
Yeah, it's that's my biggest advice to people, is to plan your thing. And even if there's times, I like to kind of go in blind to things sometimes and just kind of experience things spontaneously. But I plan that time so I know from 2 to 4, whatever happens. But at 4, I got the panel that I want to go to.
Right.
Or the costume contest starts at 5 p.m. or whatever time it starts. I got to be at the costume contest by then. But until then, maybe I just kind of wander around the artist alley. You'll catch me in the artist alley. I always end up finding some artist that I've never seen before that's just amazing, and it's like, oh wow, this is really cool. I did there's 300 plus artists at the con, so somebody there I'm sure I've never met before, never seen, and they're going to blow me out of the water, and I'm just going to be delighted.
So I tell you, one of my favorite things about cons is watching people graduate from Artist Alley up to being like an invited guest of a show. I saw that happen over the last couple of years with an artist named Sammy Francis here, who I met her for the first time, I think, at Ottawa Comic Con. She had purchased a table in Artist Alley and was showing her stuff, and she had some really great work. And she ended up getting some fairly high profile gigs, including a Sabrina the Teenage Witch cover and now a Ninja Turtles cover. And now she's getting invited to shows instead of exhibiting at a show. Now she's on the list on the website of who you're coming to see, which is like awesome. And I love that the connections to make that happened at the shows, that's right. That's where she met people. It's where people recognized her work was great. It was just beautiful story. I love it.
It is. It really is. And scrolling through this list, it doesn't seem to end. And I just want also Timothy Zahn, I see. Oh my gosh. Love it.
So we're doing more of a Star Wars thing than people realize, because we've got here, let me look. I'm going to look at this real quick. I know we're running out of time here, but so we've got Timothy Zahn, we've got Hayden Christensen, Ian McDermott, who haven't appeared together in like 7 years or something.
Wow.
Then we've got Timothy Zahn.
That was a huge get for you for this show. Like, I mean, a lot of shows have had Hayden Christensen this year has been at a lot of shows, but
he hasn't appeared with the,
no. Yeah, exactly.
And
that's great.
We've got Timothy Zahn and John Jackson Miller, who have both written quite a bit of Star Wars novels, right? And Timothy Zahn is probably like the king of Star Wars novelists.
Totally.
John Jackson Miller's up there as well. But then I've been listening to the Thrawn audiobooks.
Yep.
And I'm like, who's the guy reading these audiobooks? He's so good. And it's Mark Thompson, who I booked him because I liked listening to the audiobooks, and I want to ask him about how he does his characters. And I'm just going to go to his panel and ask him a question like everyone else. But he's also, a voice actor who does a lot of other stuff. He's in Pokemon and Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Transformers. He does a lot of voiceover work, and he's just amazing. He's super talented. So I'm so glad that I discovered him in the Star Wars audiobooks, and now he's coming to the con.
Now, you're right. We have about a minute and a half left here, but Ben, do you have time? Do you have time to walk around and enjoy the convention a little bit?
Hopefully. It's if I've done my job, I don't really have anything to do at the con,
Sure.
Because if something breaks, I'm the one who has to deal with that. So theoretically, nothing will break, and I just kind of hang out and run reports all day and stress out and go ask everybody how they're doing and make sure that they just pester them. And then
that's how I know the show's going well, because Ben has come by 4 times to say, how's it going?
Yeah.
How's it going? Yeah.
And,
exactly.
And Aaron, what about you? Are you able to partake a little bit?
Rarely.
There you go.
I mean,
someone needs to work on this show. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because all my work happens while the show's open. I did take the opportunity to go meet Don Bluth at a show in Florida earlier this year, I would just
Sure.
like abandon my own table for half an hour. And I just wanted to go meet Don Bluth because I had to do that. But usually I don't get to do that.
That's great. That is fantastic. Once again, Twin Cities Con. It's this weekend, finally here. We've been waiting for this. November 8th through 10th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. You can get tickets, twincitiescon.com. Please also take a look for the GhostBox Radio table that's going to be there. And make sure you go and say hello to Aaron Reynolds, Effin' Birds, a field guide to identification, as well as maybe you might have a chance to see Ben. Gentlemen, thank you so very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll see you all this weekend. Folks, we're not on tomorrow. Go vote. We'll be back Wednesday.